In the heart of Miami, two people are about to meet. One is hiding behind a disguise, pretending to be ordinary. The other is fighting every day just to survive, praying for something extraordinary. Their connection will be instant. Their chemistry will be undeniable. But the foundation of their love is about to crumble. And when it does, only one question will matter. Is real love strong enough to forgive a beautiful lie? Before we dive into this incredible story, please drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're watching from, and later give this story a rating from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. The Miami sun blazed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Brennan Technologies headquarters in Brickell, casting long shadows across Alexander Brennan's mahogany desk. At 32, Alex had everything a man could want: a billion-dollar tech empire, a penthouse overlooking Biscayne Bay, and a face that graced the cover of Forbes magazine last month. Yet, as he stared at his phone, watching another voice message from his ex-girlfriend Victoria, demanding he take her back, he felt nothing but emptiness. Still moping, Marcus Chen, his best friend and chief operating officer, burst through the door without knocking, holding 2 cups of Cuban coffee from the cafeteria downstairs. "Dude, it has been 3 weeks. Victoria was a gold digger. You dodged a bullet." Alex grabbed the coffee, inhaling the rich aroma of the cafecito. "She told TMZ I was emotionally unavailable. Can you believe that? I bought her a Mercedes for her birthday." "That is exactly the problem, man." Marcus dropped into the leather chair across from him. "You think money solves everything? When was the last time you actually connected with someone who did not know your bank account balance?" Alex rubbed his temples. The question hit harder than he wanted to admit. Every woman he had dated in the past 5 years had Googled him before the first date. They knew his net worth, his properties, his yacht's name. They wore designer dresses and ordered the most expensive wine, already calculating their future as Mrs. Brennan. "I'm serious, Alex." Marcus leaned forward, his expression unusually earnest. "My sister told me about this blind dating event happening tonight in Wynwood. It is casual, no names exchanged beforehand, just genuine conversations. Why don't you go?" "A blind dating event? Are you insane?" Alex laughed, but it sounded hollow even to his own ears. "Go as someone else," Marcus suggested, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Do not be Alexander Brennan, tech billionaire. Be, I don't know, Alex, the bartender. Alex, the teacher. Whatever. Just be a regular guy for one night." The idea was absurd, reckless, completely unlike him, which was exactly why 6 hours later, Alex found himself standing outside a converted warehouse in Wynwood, wearing a plain white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers he had not touched in years. He had left his Rolex at home, traded his Mercedes for an Uber, and felt more naked than he had ever felt in a business meeting. The warehouse walls exploded with colorful murals, part of the famous Wynwood walls. Inside, string lights created a warm glow, and about 50 people mingled nervously, clutching drinks and name tags that said things like "Loves Dogs" or "Taco Enthusiast." First time, a volunteer handed him a marker and a blank name tag. Alex hesitated. "Yeah. How does this work?" "Write something about yourself, not your name. Then we do speed dating rounds, 5 minutes per person. Keep it light, keep it fun." The volunteer's enthusiasm was almost infectious. Alex wrote "coffee addict" on his tag and pinned it to his shirt. He grabbed a beer from the bar and tried to blend in, which was harder than expected when you were used to commanding boardrooms. "Okay, everyone." A woman with pink hair and a megaphone climbed onto a small stage. "Welcome to Wynwood Blind Connections. Remember, no last names, no social media stalking until after the event. And please, for the love of all that is holy, be honest. Ladies on the left, gentlemen on the right. Let's begin." Alex found himself sitting across from a parade of women. First was Yoga Lover, who talked exclusively about her chakras. Then Beach Bum, who asked if he had a boat within the first 30 seconds. Then Aspiring Actress, who handed him her headshot. He was about to give up when the bell rang, and a new woman slid into the chair across from him. She was different immediately. No carefully styled hair or designer outfit. Instead, she wore simple jeans, a faded University of Miami t-shirt, and her brown hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her name tag read "Terrible Dancer," but it was her eyes that caught him. bright, intelligent, and tired. The kind of tired that came from hard work, not late-night parties. "Hi, I'm Grace," she said, extending her hand with a genuine smile that made something in Alex's chest tighten. "Alex?" He shook her hand, noting the calluses on her palm. "Terrible dancer, huh?" She laughed, and it was the most honest sound he had heard all night. "Oh, catastrophically bad. Like I once stepped on my prom date's foot so hard he limped for a week. What about you, coffee addict? How serious are we talking?" 3 cups before noon serious, he admitted. 4, if it's a Monday. "Amateur." Grace's eyes sparkled with challenge. "Try 5 shots of espresso before a double shift, then we'll talk." "Double shift? What do you do?" "I'm a waitress at a diner in Little Havana during the day, and I bartend at a hotel in South Beach at night." She said it matter-of-factly, without shame or apology. Saving for nursing school, one overpriced textbook at a time. Alex felt something shift inside him. Here was someone who understood the value of hard work, who wasn't waiting for a man to solve her problems. That's really admirable. Nursing school is tough. "Yeah, well, someone's got to take care of people, right?" Grace shrugged. "My grandmother always says, Mija, money comes and goes, but kindness stays forever." She paused, looking slightly embarrassed. "Sorry, that was corny." "No, it wasn't," Alex said quickly, and he meant it. When was the last time someone had quoted their grandmother's wisdom to him, instead of asking about his investment portfolio? "So, coffee addict Alex, what do you do?" Grace asked, taking a sip of her water. This was it. The moment of truth. Alex thought about his penthouse, his company, his Ferrari collecting dust in the garage. Then he looked at Grace's open, curious face and made a decision that would change everything. "I'm a bartender," he said, "at a place in Brickell." Grace's face lit up. "No way, what are the odds? Maybe we can trade war stories about difficult customers." The bell rang, signaling the end of their 5 minutes, but neither of them moved. "Listen," Alex said quickly. "Would you want to grab coffee sometime, like actual coffee, not at a speed dating event?" Grace hesitated, biting her lower lip. "I don't know. I don't usually." "Just coffee," Alex pressed gently. "I promise I won't make you dance." That earned him another one of those genuine laughs. "Okay, coffee addict, just coffee. But I warn you, I take mine with an obscene amount of sugar." As Grace wrote her phone number on a napkin, her hand brushing against his, Alex felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, terrifying, wonderful hope. He had no idea that this simple lie, this one small deception, would lead to the greatest love and the biggest mess of his entire life. Outside, the Miami night pulsed with life, and somewhere in the distance, the ocean whispered secrets that neither Alex nor Grace were ready to hear. 3 days later, Alex found himself doing something he had not done in over a decade, nervously checking his reflection in a public restroom mirror. He was at Panther Coffee in Wynwood, the hipster cafe Grace had suggested, wearing another carefully curated, normal guy outfit, faded jeans, a simple navy blue Henley, and those same sneakers that were starting to feel less foreign on his feet. "You look like you're about to rob a bank," Marcus had said that morning when Alex showed up at the office dressed down. "Or join a boy band. I cannot decide which is worse." Now watching Grace walk through the cafe door, Alex forgot all about Marcus's teasing. She wore jean shorts and a coral tank top, her hair loose around her shoulders, and she was carrying what looked like a nursing textbook that had seen better days. "Hey, coffee addict," Grace waved, nearly knocking over someone's iced latte in the process. Sorry, she called to the annoyed customer before sliding into the seat across from Alex, cheeks flushed. "I am the most graceful person alive, clearly," Alex grinned. "No pun intended with your name." Oh God, my parents thought they were so clever. Grace rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Grace Mitchell, the girl who trips over air. The irony is not lost on me. They ordered. Grace indeed loaded her coffee with 4 sugars and enough cream to make it barely qualify as coffee anymore, and fell into conversation as easily as breathing. Grace told him about her grandmother, Nana Jean, who had raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 12. "She worked 3 jobs to keep me in school," Grace said, her voice soft with affection. "Now she has arthritis and can barely walk, but she still tries to cook me dinner every Sunday. Says a woman who cannot make proper arroz con pollo has no business being called Cuban American." Wait, "You're Cuban-American?" Alex asked, surprised. "I thought Mitchell. My dad was white, my mom was Cuban. I got Dad's last name and Mom's stubbornness," Grace laughed. "And her complete inability to make American breakfast. I can make a perfect Cuban sandwich but cannot flip a pancake to save my life." Alex found himself laughing more genuinely than he had in months. There was something magnetic about Grace's honesty, the way she wore her struggles like badges of honor rather than secrets to hide. "What about you?" Grace asked, stirring her sugary concoction. "What's Alex the bartender's origin story?" Alex had prepared for this. He had crafted a careful backstory that was not entirely a lie. "I grew up in Connecticut. My parents wanted me to take over the family business, but I wanted to do my own thing. We don't talk much anymore." That part was actually true. His parents, old-money aristocrats who had never worked a day in their lives, had been horrified when Alex started his tech company instead of joining their investment firm. They were even more horrified when he succeeded beyond their wildest imagination. "That must be hard," Grace said, and the genuine sympathy in her eyes made Alex's chest ache with guilt over his deception. "Family stuff is complicated, but hey, at least you are doing what you love, right? Mixing drinks and, listening to people's problems?" "Something like that." Alex took a sip of his black coffee, hoping she wouldn't press for details about his fictional bartending career. "You know what I love about bartending?" Grace leaned forward conspiratorially. "You meet the most interesting people. Last week this guy tried to impress me by ordering the most expensive whiskey we had. Mispronounced it completely. Then his card got declined." She laughed, shaking her head. "Men who try too hard with money are the worst. Like, just be yourself, you know?" Alex nearly choked on his coffee. "Yeah," he managed. "The worst. I mean, don't get me wrong, financial stability is important," Grace continued, oblivious to Alex's discomfort. "But I have met enough rich guys in South Beach to know that money does not equal character. Give me a good man with a good heart over a trust fund any day." That is a great philosophy," Alex said weakly, wondering what Grace would think if she knew he had 3 trust funds and a stock portfolio that could buy the entire block they were sitting on. Grace's phone buzzed, and her expression shifted to concern. "Sorry, it is Nana Jean's nurse. Do you mind if I—" "Of course not." Alex watched as Grace's face cycled through worry, frustration, and resignation during the brief phone call. When she hung up, she looked exhausted. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. "Nana Jean fell this morning. She's fine, just bruised, but—" Grace rubbed her temples. "The nurse wants me to consider hiring overnight care, which I cannot afford because overnight care costs more than my rent." She laughed, but it was bitter. "Sorry, I should not be dumping this on you. This is supposed to be a fun coffee date." "Hey," Alex reached across the table, covering her hand with his. "It is okay to not be okay sometimes." Grace looked at their joined hands, then up at his face, and something passed between them. Something electric and terrifying and real. "You are different, Alex. Most guys run when things get heavy. I am not most guys." As soon as the words left his mouth, Alex realized how true they were, just not in the way Grace thought. "Clearly," Grace squeezed his hand before pulling away, her smile returning. "Okay, enough sad stuff. Tell me something embarrassing about yourself. Fair is fair." Alex thought for a moment. "I once gave a presentation to 50 people with my fly down." Grace gasped, then burst into laughter so genuine that other customers turned to look. "No. How long?" 20 minutes. No one told me." Alex grinned at the memory, which was actually true. It had been to 50 investors, and he had still closed the deal, but Grace did not need to know that part. They talked for 2 more hours, until Grace realized she was late for her shift at the diner. As they walked out onto the sun-drenched street, the vibrant murals of Wynwood surrounding them like a kaleidoscope, Alex felt something he had not felt since building his first startup, the thrill of possibility. "I had a really great time," Grace said, adjusting her backpack, "even with the family drama interruption." "Me too." Alex hesitated, then decided to take a chance. "Would you want to do this again? Maybe dinner this time?" Grace bit her lip, a habit he was starting to find adorable. "I would love to, but I need to be honest with you, Alex. I am kind of a mess right now. Between work and school and Nana Jean, I do not have a lot to offer someone." "You have yourself," Alex said simply. "That is more than enough." The way Grace looked at him then, like he had just said the most profound thing in the world, made Alex's heart skip several beats. "Okay," she whispered. "Dinner. But somewhere cheap. I'm serious about my budget." "I know a great taco place in Little Havana," Alex offered, mentally noting to leave his black card at home. "Perfect." Grace stood on her tiptoes and kissed his cheek quickly before pulling away, blushing. "Text me." As Alex watched her rush toward the bus stop, her nursing textbook clutched against her chest. He felt his phone buzz. It was Marcus. "Marcus, how did it go? Did you tell her the truth yet?" "Alex, not yet. But Marcus, I think I am in trouble." "Marcus, good trouble or bad trouble?" "Alex, both." Alex looked back at the cafe, at the simple life happening inside. People working on laptops, students studying, couples falling in love over overpriced coffee. For the first time in his adult life, he understood what he had been missing while building his empire. But he also understood something else. The longer he waited to tell Grace the truth, the harder it would be, and the more it would hurt when she inevitably found out. The Miami sun beat down on his shoulders, and Alex made a decision. He would tell her soon, just not yet. Not until she knew him well enough to understand that the bartender and the billionaire were the same person underneath. What could possibly go wrong? As if in answer, his phone rang. It was his publicist. "Alexander, darling, great news. Forbes wants to do a follow-up feature. They want to photograph you at your favorite local spots." "I was thinking South Beach. Maybe that hotel bar you like." Alex hung up, his stomach sinking. The walls were already closing in. 2 weeks into whatever this thing with Grace was becoming, Alex found himself in a situation he had never imagined, hiding behind a menu at a taco stand in Little Havana, while his face stared back at him from a magazine rack across the street. "You okay?" Grace asked, looking up from her al pastor tacos. "You look like you have seen a ghost." "Just hot sauce in my eye," Alex lied, quickly turning away from the newsstand displaying the latest issue of Miami Business Journal with his photo on the cover. Tech titan Alexander Brennan, the man behind the algorithm. They were sitting at a Zucar ice cream company's outdoor tables on Calle Ocho, surrounded by the vibrant sounds of Little Havana, salsa music pouring from nearby restaurants, the rhythmic clacking of dominoes at Maximo Gomez Park, the sizzle of food from Ventanitas. The smell of Cuban coffee and fried plantains filled the air, and despite his anxiety, Alex had to admit this beat any five-star restaurant he had ever been to. "So," Grace said, wiping guacamole from her chin in a way that was somehow endearing rather than messy. "I have a confession to make." Alex's heart stopped. Did she know? Had someone told her? "What kind of confession?" "I Googled you." Alex felt the blood drain from his face. You did?" "Relax," Grace laughed. "I did not find anything. Apparently, Alex the bartender has zero social media presence, which is honestly kind of refreshing. Every guy I have dated in the past has like 3 Instagram accounts documenting their gym routine." Alex exhaled slowly. He had scrubbed his personal social media years ago, and his corporate accounts were managed by his PR team. "I like my privacy." "Me too. Well, not by choice. More like by poverty." Grace grinned. "Hard to document your fabulous life when your phone is 3 generations old and held together with duct tape." "Your phone is held together with duct tape?" "Literally. Want to see?" Grace pulled out a phone that had indeed seen better days, the screen cracked in 3 places, the back covered in silver tape. "I call her Frankenstein. She is ugly but loyal." Alex made a mental note. He could easily buy her a new phone, but that would raise questions. Questions he was not ready to answer. "That is so impressive durability. Necessity is the mother of invention," Grace quoted, taking a bite of her taco, "or in my case, the mother of duct tape solutions." Alex's own phone, the latest model, which he had deliberately left in his car and brought an older backup instead, buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. It was probably Marcus calling about the Forbes situation, which Alex had been dodging for days. "Hey, I wanted to ask you something," Grace said, her tone shifting to something more vulnerable. "Next Saturday is Nana Jean's birthday. We are having a small party at our apartment. Nothing fancy, just family food and probably terrible karaoke. Would you want to come?" Alex's first instinct was panic. Meeting the family meant deepening the lie, creating more connections that would snap painfully when the truth came out. But looking at Grace's hopeful face, he found himself nodding. "I would love to." "Really?" Grace's entire face lit up. "Great, but I warn you, Nana Jan will interrogate you like you are applying for the CIA, and my cousin Miguel will definitely challenge you to a dominoes match. He is undefeated and insufferable about it." "I can handle dominoes," Alex said confidently. He had played against some of the sharpest minds in Silicon Valley. How hard could a family game be? Grace raised an eyebrow. Famous last words, coffee addict. They spent the rest of the afternoon wandering through Little Havana, Grace playing tour guide despite having grown up there. She showed him the Bay of Pigs Memorial, the Tower Theatre with its ornate facade, and the famous Domino Park, where old Cuban men gathered daily to play and argue politics in rapid-fire Spanish. "My abuelo used to play here every day before he passed," Grace said softly, watching the players. "He would bring me after school, buy me a guarapo from that stand over there, and I would do homework while he trash-talked his friends. I did not realize until years later that half his trash talk was actually life lessons disguised as domino strategy." "Like what?" Alex asked, genuinely curious. "Like Mija. In dominoes and in life, you cannot control what tiles you are dealt, only how you play them." Grace smiled at the memory. He was a philosophy professor in Cuba before the revolution. Drove a taxi here for 30 years and never complained once. Said he was grateful to play dominoes in freedom rather than in fear. Alex felt something twist in his chest. Here he was, a man who had been given every advantage, every tile stacked in his favor from birth, lying to a woman whose family had sacrificed everything for a chance at a better life. He sounds like an amazing man. He was. Grace linked her arm through Alex's as they walked, the gesture so natural it made Alex's breath catch. "I think he would have liked you. He always said the measure of a man was not what he had, but what he did with what he had." The guilt was becoming harder to swallow, but before Alex could spiral into self-recrimination, Grace pulled him toward a small dance studio with open doors, salsa music pouring onto the street. "Come on," she said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Absolutely not," Alex protested. "I cannot dance." "Neither can I, remember. Terrible dancer." Grace was already pulling him inside, where a free community salsa class was in session. When in Little Havana, coffee addict. What followed was possibly the most embarrassing and simultaneously most fun 30 minutes of Alex's life. The instructor, a woman in her 60s with the energy of someone half her age, took one look at them and declared them hopeless but adorable. Alex stepped on Grace's feet no less than 5 times. Grace accidentally elbowed him in the ribs twice. They were laughably out of sync, earning sympathetic looks from the other dancers, but they could not stop laughing. "See?" Grace gasped between giggles as they attempted and failed another turn. "I told you I was catastrophically bad." "You were not kidding." Alex pulled her closer to avoid colliding with another couple, and suddenly they were face to face, breathless and grinning, moving to music they could barely follow. The song shifted to something slower, more romantic, and the room seemed to shrink until it was just the two of them. Grace's hand found the back of his neck, her touch sending electricity down his spine. "Alex?" she whispered. "Yeah? I am really glad you are a terrible dancer too." He kissed her then, surrounded by strangers in a community dance hall in Little Havana, with salsa music playing and the smell of Cuban coffee in the air, and it was the most genuine moment of his entire carefully constructed life. When they finally broke apart, both slightly dazed, the instructor was watching them with a knowing smile. "Ay, el amor," she said to no one in particular. "It makes even the worst dancers look good." Outside, the sun was setting, painting the Miami sky in shades of orange and pink. They walked slowly back toward Grace's bus stop, neither wanting the day to end. "Thank you for today," Grace said as they waited. "I know Little Havana is not exactly glamorous." "It is perfect," Alex interrupted, and meant it. "This whole day has been perfect." Grace smiled, but there was something thoughtful in her expression. "Can I ask you something? And will you be honest?" Alex's stomach dropped. "Of course. Do you ever feel like you are not living your real life, like you are just waiting for something to start?" The question hit Alex like a physical blow. His entire existence was built on achievements, success, the relentless pursuit of more. But had he been living or just accumulating? Sometimes, he admitted quietly. But lately, I feel like maybe I am starting to wake up. Me too, Grace said softly, then stood on her tiptoes to kiss his cheek. See you Saturday, coffee addict. Prepare to meet the Mitchell-Rodriguez clan. We are loud, we are nosy, and we will feed you until you cannot move. As the bus pulled away with Grace waving from the window, Alex's phone rang again. This time he answered. Where the hell have you been? Marcus demanded. The Forbes people are going crazy. They want to schedule the shoot, and Victoria has been calling the office saying you two are getting back together. And, Alex, are you listening? Marcus, Alex said, watching the bus disappear around a corner, I am in trouble, real trouble. The good kind or the bad kind? I have no idea anymore. That night, lying in his penthouse overlooking the glittering lights of Miami, Alex made a decision. After the birthday party, he would tell Grace everything. He would face whatever consequences came and hope that what they had was strong enough to survive the truth. But first, he had to survive meeting Nana Jean. Somehow that felt more terrifying than any board meeting he had ever faced. Saturday arrived with the kind of humidity that made Miami feel like a sauna. Alex stood outside a modest apartment building in Alapata, holding a bakery box from Porto's Bakery and wondering if he had ever been this nervous before a business presentation. The building was nothing like his Brickell high-rise. The paint was peeling, the air conditioning units hung precariously from windows, and a group of kids played soccer in the parking lot. But something about it felt more alive than anywhere he had lived. He had specifically avoided buying an expensive gift for Nana Jean, settling instead on flowers from a local bodega and the bakery box. Marcus had laughed when Alex asked him to teach him how to shop normally. Dude, you are a billionaire pretending to be poor. This is literally the plot of a romantic comedy, Marcus had said. Except in those movies, the truth comes out by the second act, and you are pushing it to the third. That never ends well. Alex had ignored him, but now, climbing the stairs to apartment 3B, Marcus's words echoed in his head. The door flew open before he could knock, revealing a tiny woman with steel-grey hair, fierce dark eyes, and the kind of presence that made Alex instinctively stand straighter. She was barely 5 feet tall, but carried herself like a queen. So you are the bartender, Nana Jean said, looking him up and down with an intensity that would make most CEOs squirm. You are handsome. That makes me suspicious. Nana! Grace appeared behind her grandmother, looking beautiful in a simple yellow sundress, her hair curled. Please do not scare him away before he even gets inside. If he scares that easily, he is not worth keeping, Nana Jean replied, but she stepped aside to let Alex in. Come, let me see if you are worth my Grace's time. The apartment was small but immaculate, every surface covered with family photos, religious candles, and potted plants. The smell of roast pork, black beans, and rice filled the air, making Alex's stomach growl despite his nerves. Salsa music played from a small radio, and the living room was packed with people who all stopped talking when he entered. Everyone, this is Alex, Grace announced, her hand finding his. Alex, this is everyone. What followed was a blur of introductions. Tia Carmen, who ran a beauty salon in Hialeah. Tio Roberto, who worked construction and had a handshake that could crush steel. Cousin Miguel, the supposedly undefeated domino champion, who sized Alex up like a boxer before a match. Cousin Sophia, who was 7 months pregnant, and gave Alex a knowing smile. And at least 6 children whose names Alex immediately forgot, all running around like caffeinated puppies. Sit, sit! Tia Carmen pushed him toward the dining table, which was covered with enough food to feed a small army. You are too skinny. Grace, you are not feeding this man. We have been on 3 dates, Tia, Grace protested, laughing. 3 dates, and he is already meeting the family? Nana Jean settled into her chair at the head of the table, her cane propped beside her. That is serious, Mija. Grace blushed. Nana, please. I am just saying, in my day, meeting the family meant intentions. What are your intentions with my granddaughter, Mr. Alex the bartender? The room went quiet. Every eye turned to Alex. He felt like he was back in that boardroom presenting to skeptical investors, except these stakes were infinitely higher. My intentions, Alex said carefully, are to make her happy, to support her dreams, to be someone she can count on. Nana Jean studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good answer. But words are cheap. Time will tell if you mean them. Now eat, Tia Carmen declared, breaking the tension, before the food gets cold. The meal was chaos in the best possible way. Everyone talked over each other, switching between English and Spanish so rapidly that Alex's head spun. They argued about politics, gossiped about neighbors, and told embarrassing stories about Grace's childhood that made her groan and hide her face. Remember when she was 8 and decided to borrow Abuelo's car? Miguel grinned wickedly. I sat in it while it was parked, Grace protested. I was pretending to drive. You released the parking brake, Hermana. The car rolled into Senora Gutierrez's fence. The table erupted in laughter, and Alex found himself laughing too, charmed by the easy affection between them all. This was what family dinners should be, loud, chaotic, filled with love and teasing. His own family dinners had been silent affairs with crystal glasses and uncomfortable small talk. After dinner, as promised, Miguel challenged Alex to dominoes. They set up at a card table on the small balcony overlooking the street, Tio Roberto and Nana Jean watching like hawks. You ever play dominoes, bartender? Miguel asked, shuffling the tiles with practiced ease. A few times, Alex lied. He had played exactly twice, both times at corporate retreats where everyone was too drunk to take it seriously. What followed was a humbling experience. Miguel destroyed him in the first game, and the second, and the third. Each time the gathered family members would offer helpful advice that contradicted each other. No, you play the 6. Are you crazy? Save the 6. Ay, Dios mío, he is hopeless. But somewhere around the 4th game, something clicked. Alex started to see the patterns, the strategy, the way each move affected the next. He won a round, then another, and by the 6th game, he and Miguel were evenly matched. Okay, Miguel admitted grudgingly. You are not completely terrible. For a gringo. He learns fast, Nana Jean observed from her chair. That is a good quality. As the evening wore on and the sun set over Miami, painting the sky in brilliant colors, Alex found himself on the balcony with Nana Jean, while the others were inside cutting the birthday cake. My Grace likes you, Nana Jean said without preamble. I can see it in her eyes. She looks at you the way she used to look at the stars when she was little, like you are full of possibilities. I like her too, Alex said honestly. Very much. But you are hiding something. It was not a question. Alex's blood went cold. What makes you say that? Nana Jean tapped her temple. 83 years on this earth, I know when someone is carrying secrets. The way you hesitate before answering questions about yourself. The way you watch the door like you are expecting someone to walk through and recognize you. The way you, she gestured at his hands, have no calluses. No bartender has hands that soft, mijo. Alex felt the world tilt. I do not need to know what you are hiding, Nana Jean interrupted. But I need to know one thing. Will it hurt my granddaughter when the truth comes out? Alex wanted to lie, but he could not. Not to this woman who had seen through him so easily. I hope not. But it might. Nana Jean was quiet for a long moment, the sounds of the party drifting through the window behind them. Then you better tell her soon, before she falls any deeper. Grace has been hurt before. Her last boyfriend used her, borrowed money, disappeared. She learned to protect herself by expecting nothing. You made her hope again. Do not make her regret that. I will tell her, Alex promised, his throat tight. Soon, I swear. Good. Nana Jean patted his hand. Because despite your secrets, I think you might be good for her. You look at her the way my Julio used to look at me, like she is the only person in the room even when the room is full of loud Cubans. Inside, someone called for them to come sing Happy Birthday. Alex helped Nana Jean to her feet, and as they rejoined the party, he caught Grace's eye. She smiled at him over the candles on her grandmother's cake, and his heart did that painful squeeze it always did around her. After the cake, after the karaoke, Grace's rendition of I Will Survive was enthusiastic if not exactly on key. After the kids were rounded up and the dishes were washed, Grace walked Alex down to the street. So, she said, taking his hand, you survived the Mitchell-Rodriguez family experience. Congratulations. They are wonderful, Alex said sincerely. Your grandmother is terrifying in the best way. Grace laughed. She liked you, I can tell. She only interrogates the ones she thinks might stick around. Is that what you want? Alex asked softly. For me to stick around. Grace stopped walking, turning to face him under a streetlight. I know we have only known each other a few weeks. I know it is crazy, but Alex, when I am with you, I feel like I can breathe, like maybe life does not have to be just survival, like maybe it can be something more. This was it. The moment. Alex opened his mouth to tell her everything, about the company, the money, the lie that had spiraled out of control. But before he could speak, his phone rang. The ringtone, different from the backup phone he had been carrying, came from his car. His real phone, which he thought he had left at home. Grace frowned. Is that your car alarm? Yeah, probably. Alex's mind raced. Let me check it. He jogged to where he had parked his deliberately nondescript Honda rental, but his Ferrari's ringtone kept playing. And then he saw it. His actual phone, sitting on the dashboard where Marcus must have left it when borrowing Alex's car earlier that week. And it was Marcus calling. Alex silenced it quickly, but not before Grace came up behind him. That is a nice phone, she observed. Newest model, right? I thought bartenders did not make that much. It is borrowed, Alex stammered. From a friend. But Grace was looking at something else now. The Forbes magazine on his passenger seat, the one with his face on the cover, the one he had bought to see how bad the article was and forgot to hide. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion. Grace reaching through the open window, picking up the magazine, looking at the cover, looking at him, looking back at the cover. Alexander Brennan, she read aloud, her voice hollow. Tech billionaire, CEO of Brennan Technologies. She looked up at him, and the betrayal in her eyes was like a knife to his chest. What the hell is this, Alex? Grace, I can explain. Explain what? That you have been lying to me since the day we met. Her voice was rising now, and tears were starting to form. That while I was worried about paying my grandmother's medical bills, you were playing dress-up as a poor person for fun. It was not like that, Alex pleaded. I just wanted someone to see me, not my money. So you lied? You let me talk about struggling to make rent, about not being able to afford a new phone? Grace laughed, but it was bitter and broken. Oh God, I even apologized for suggesting cheap restaurants. You must have thought I was hilarious, poor little waitress, so proud of her poverty. No, Grace, that is not. Was any of it real? She whispered, and that hurt more than the yelling. Or was I just a project? A fun story to tell your rich friends? Look at the billionaire who pretended to be poor and tricked the stupid poor girl. Stop it. Alex grabbed her arms gently. You are the most real thing that has ever happened to me. Everything I feel for you is real. But everything you told me was a lie. Grace pulled away, wiping her eyes. Who are you really, Alex? Or is it Alexander? I do not even know your name. It is both. I am both people. No, Grace cut him off, backing toward the building. You are Alexander Brennan, billionaire liar. Alex the bartender never existed, and I was stupid enough to fall for him. Grace, please, stay away from me. Her voice broke. And stay away from my family. They do not need someone like you in their lives. She turned and ran into the building before Alex could stop her. He stood there, alone under the streetlight, holding the magazine that had destroyed everything. From the apartment window above, Alex could see Nana Jean watching. She did not look surprised. She looked disappointed. And somehow, that was the worst part of all. Alex did not sleep that night, or the next. He sat in his penthouse, staring at the Miami skyline that suddenly felt like a cage, and replayed every moment with Grace. Every laugh, every touch, every time she had shared her struggles, while he hid behind his lies. He called her 17 times. She blocked his number. He texted from a different phone. She blocked that one too. He showed up at the diner where she worked, and she had her manager threaten to call the police. You need to stop, Marcus said on Tuesday morning, finding Alex unshaven and disheveled in his office. You look like you have not eaten in days. I have not, Alex muttered, staring at his computer screen without seeing it. The Forbes article was still up, the one that had ruined everything. How do I fix this, Marcus? Honestly, I do not know if you can. Marcus sat down heavily. You lied to her for weeks, about everything. Put yourself in her shoes. How would you feel? Betrayed, Alex whispered. Used, humiliated. Exactly. Marcus sighed. Look, I know you had good intentions. I know you were tired of gold diggers. But Alex, Grace was not the problem that needed solving. You were. The words hit like a punch. What do you mean? You spent so long protecting your money that you forgot how to be vulnerable. So when you finally met someone real, someone who could see past the dollar signs, you could not handle it. You had to control the narrative. Marcus leaned forward. You did not trust her to love you for you. So you tested her, and she failed your test by passing it too well. Alex buried his face in his hands. Marcus was right. He had been so afraid of being used that he had used Grace instead, used her vulnerability, her honesty, her trust. I love her, Alex said, and hearing the words out loud made them more real and more painful. I actually love her. Then prove it, Marcus said simply. Not with money, not with grand gestures. Figure out what she needs and give her that, even if what she needs is for you to leave her alone. But Alex could not leave her alone. Not yet. Not when he knew there was one person who might listen, Nana Jean. That afternoon, Alex found himself back at the Alapata apartment building, his heart pounding as he climbed the familiar stairs. He knocked on 3B, half expecting no one to answer. Tia Carmen opened the door, her warm smile from Saturday replaced with ice. You have some nerve showing up here. I know. I just need 5 minutes with Nana Jean. Please. She does not want to see you. Let him in, Carmen. Nana Jean's voice came from inside. Tia Carmen stepped aside reluctantly, and Alex entered the apartment that felt so different now. The warmth had been replaced with tension. Nana Jean sat in her chair by the window, looking older and more tired than she had days ago. Sit, she commanded, pointing to the couch. Alex sat feeling like a child called to the principal's office. You lied to my granddaughter, Nana Jean said, her voice sharp as glass. You made her feel stupid for being honest about her struggles. You played with her heart like it was a game. I know, and I am sorrier than I can ever express. Alex met her eyes. But I need you to understand. I did not set out to hurt her. I was just tired of people seeing my wallet instead of me. When I met Grace, she was the first person in years who saw me, the real me, and I was terrified that if she knew about the money, that would change. So you lied. So I lied, Alex admitted. And I was wrong. I should have trusted her. I should have been honest from the beginning. But Nana Jean, everything I felt, everything I feel, for Grace is real. The money does not change that. But it changes everything else, does it not? Nana Jean's gaze was penetrating. You live in a different world, Mr. Brennan. A world where my granddaughter will always feel less than, where she will wonder if people like her for herself or for her connection to you, where she will be photographed and scrutinized and torn apart by strangers. You think you love her, but have you thought about what loving you would cost her? The question left Alex speechless. He had been so focused on his own feelings, his own pain, that he had not considered the full weight of what a relationship with him would mean for Grace. She works 3 jobs to pay for nursing school, Nana Jean continued. Do you know why? Not just for the degree, but because she needs to know she can take care of herself, that she can take care of me. Her father was wealthy once, lost everything in bad investments, and the shame killed him and her mother both. Grace swore she would never depend on anyone's money but her own. And you come along lying about being poor, making her think you understood that value, when all along you were the exact thing she feared most. I did not know, Alex whispered, because you did not ask. You were too busy playing your game. Nana Jean's voice softened slightly. But I see the pain in your eyes, mijo. I believe you love her. The question is, do you love her enough to let her go? No, Alex said firmly. I love her enough to fight for her, to prove that I am not who she thinks I am, to show her that the man she fell for, the one who ate tacos in Little Havana and danced badly and played dominoes, that is the real me. The money is just, it is just circumstances. Nana Jean studied him for a long moment. Grace goes to nursing school on Tuesday and Thursday nights, Miami-Dade College, Kendall campus. She takes the bus because her car broke down last month. She sits in the library afterwards to study because our apartment is too noisy. If you want to talk to her, that is where you will find her. But Mr. Brennan, if you hurt her again, money will not protect you from me. Understood? Alex nodded, something like hope flickering in his chest. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. Grace is stubborn. She gets that from me. Nana Jean smiled slightly. But she also has a good heart. She gets that from me too. So do not waste this chance. Thursday night found Alex sitting in the Miami-Dade College library, pretending to read a book while watching the door. When Grace finally arrived at 7:30, exhausted from her shift at the diner, she froze when she saw him. "Please do not run," Alex said quietly, standing up. "I am not here to pressure you. I just want to talk 5 minutes. If after that you want me to leave Miami forever, I will." Grace's jaw tightened, but she set her backpack down at a table far from him. "You have 5 minutes. Talk." Alex moved closer, but kept a respectful distance. Around them, other students studied, oblivious to the drama unfolding. "You were right," Alex began. "About everything. I lied. I manipulated the situation. I let you share your struggles while hiding mine. And I'm so sorry." "Is that it?" Grace asked coldly. "Because your 5 minutes are ticking." "No." Alex took a breath. "Grace, my entire life, people have wanted something from me. My parents wanted a legacy. My business partners wanted connections. Women wanted a lifestyle. I built walls so high that I forgot what it felt like to let someone in. And then I met you. So you lied to me. I lied to protect myself. But in doing so, I hurt you. And that is unforgivable." Alex's voice cracked. "The man you met at that blind date, the one who drank too much coffee and could not dance and lost at dominoes, that is who I am, Grace. The money did not change that. Being Alexander Brennan did not change how I felt when you laughed, or how my heart stopped when you kissed me, or how for the first time in my adult life I felt like I could just breathe." Grace's eyes were shining with unshed tears, but her expression remained hard. "You know what the worst part is? I liked you. Poor, struggling, nothing special you. I liked that you took the bus and worried about rent and understood what it meant to work hard for little reward. I felt like we were the same. But we are not the same, Alex. We will never be the same." "You are right," Alex said. "We are not the same. You are braver than I will ever be. You work 3 jobs and still find time to care for your grandmother and chase your dreams. You face your struggles head-on while I hide behind my privilege. You are everything I wish I could be." "Stop it," Grace whispered. "Stop saying things that make me want to forgive you." "I do not deserve your forgiveness," Alex admitted. "But Grace, I am asking for a chance to earn it. Not as Alexander Brennan, billionaire, but as Alex. Just Alex, the man who is completely, stupidly in love with you." The library was silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Grace stared at him, tears finally spilling over. "You love me?" she asked, her voice breaking. "I love you," Alex confirmed. "I love how you take your coffee with too much sugar. I love how you trip over air but somehow never actually fall. I love how you quote your grandfather's wisdom and work yourself to exhaustion and still find the energy to sing karaoke terribly. I love you, Grace Mitchell, and I am so sorry I made you doubt that." Grace covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. Alex wanted nothing more than to hold her, but he stayed where he was, giving her space. Finally, she looked up. "I do not know if I can trust you again. I know. And I do not know if I can be part of your world. The money, the publicity, the everything. I know. But Grace's voice caught. "I think I love you too. And I hate that I do. I hate that, even after everything, seeing you walk into this library made my heart race. I hate that I want to forgive you." "Then do not," Alex said gently. "Do not forgive me yet. Let me prove myself first. Let me show you that I can be the man you deserve, however long that takes." Grace was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I have clinicals at Jackson Memorial Hospital next month. 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week. I will be too tired to text, too busy to meet up. If you are still around after that, if you actually wait while I focus on my life instead of dropping everything for you, then maybe we can try again. Maybe." It was not forgiveness, it was barely a crumb of hope, but it was something. "I will wait," Alex promised, "as long as it takes." Grace picked up her backpack. "Your 5 minutes are up, Mr. Brennan. Go home." But as she walked past him to find another table, she paused. Her hand brushed his for just a second, so brief it might have been an accident. But when Alex looked at her face, he saw the ghost of the girl who had danced with him in Little Havana. She was still in there. He just had to prove he deserved to see her again. As Alex left the library and stepped into the humid Miami night, his phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "How did it go?" Alex looked back at the library where Grace sat surrounded by textbooks, determinedly not looking at him but not asking security to remove him either. "It is a start," Alex typed back. Then he made 3 phone calls, one to his lawyer, one to his publicist, and one to Nana Jean. If Grace needed space, he would give it to her. But he would also make sure that when she was ready to look, she would see exactly the kind of man he could be, the kind of man worthy of a woman like Grace Mitchell. 6 weeks. That was how long Alex waited. 6 weeks of watching Grace from a distance, respecting her space while quietly reshaping his entire life. 6 weeks of the hardest work he had ever done, not building a company, but building himself into someone worthy of her trust. The first thing he did was call a press conference. "Effective immediately, I'm stepping back from my role as CEO of Brennan Technologies," Alex announced to a room full of shocked journalists. "Marcus Chen will take over day-to-day operations. I will remain as chairman of the board, but my focus is shifting. I have spent 10 years building a company, now I want to build a life." The business world exploded. Forbes called it career suicide. His board threatened to revolt. His father called him an idiot, but Marcus understood. "About time," his friend had said, clapping him on the shoulder. "Go get your girl." The second thing Alex did was sell his penthouse. The sprawling Brickell apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows and million-dollar views went on the market, and Alex moved into a modest 2-bedroom condo in Coral Gables. It was not poverty cosplay. It was real, comfortable, but normal. The kind of place where neighbors borrowed sugar and kids played in the courtyard. The third thing, the most important thing Alex did was start showing up. Not for Grace, not yet, but for the community that had welcomed him that one perfect night. He volunteered at the Little Havana Community Center, teaching coding to teenagers who could not afford computers. He donated anonymously to Miami-Dade College's nursing program, setting up a scholarship fund that would help 20 students a year. He showed up at Domino Park on Sundays, not as Alexander Brennan, the billionaire, but as Alex, the guy who was still learning the game. And he waited. He knew Grace's schedule by heart, though he never intruded. He knew she finished her clinicals at Jackson Memorial every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. He knew she studied at the library on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He knew she visited Nana Jean every Sunday morning after church. He never approached her. But he made sure she knew he was there, keeping his promise, proving his patience, showing her through actions rather than words that he was serious. Nana Jean became his unlikely ally. "She asks about you," the old woman told him one Sunday when Alex stopped by with groceries, something he had started doing weekly, refusing to let Nana Jean pay him back. "She pretends she does not care, but she asks." What does she ask? "If you are still in Miami, if you went back to your old life." Nana Jean smiled knowingly. "I tell her you are teaching kids in Little Havana. I tell her you play dominoes with her Tio Roberto. I tell her you are trying. Is it working?" "Patience, mijo." Grace's heart broke once when her parents died. It broke again when her last boyfriend betrayed her. She is protecting herself the only way she knows how, but walls can come down. They just need the right reason. That reason came on a humid Friday evening in late October. Grace had just finished a grueling 12-hour shift at Jackson Memorial. She was exhausted, her feet aching, her scrubs stained with coffee and who knew what else. All she wanted was to go home, shower, and sleep for 16 hours. But when she stepped outside, she found chaos. An accident in the parking lot. A car had hit a pedestrian. The victim was conscious but bleeding, surrounded by panicked onlookers who did not know what to do. The ambulance would take at least 10 minutes in Miami traffic. Grace's training kicked in immediately. She dropped her bag and ran over, dropping to her knees beside the injured man. "I am a nursing student. Sir, can you hear me? Can you tell me your name?" She worked quickly, assessing injuries, applying pressure to the worst of the bleeding, keeping the man calm and conscious. She barely registered the crowd gathering around her until someone handed her gauze from a first aid kit. She looked up to thank them and froze. Alex was kneeling beside her, his shirt already off and torn into strips for bandages, his hands steady as he helped her stabilize the victim's leg. "What are you doing here?" Grace asked, her voice sharp despite her shock. "I volunteer in the ER," Alex said calmly, his focus on the injured man. "Started a month ago, 2 nights a week. Patient transport mostly, nothing medical. He met her eyes briefly. The coordinator said they always need extra hands. Grace wanted to ask more, but the ambulance arrived, and they worked together to transfer the patient to the paramedics. It was seamless. Grace giving medical information, Alex providing support, both of them covered in blood and completely focused. When the ambulance pulled away, Grace finally looked at Alex properly. He was thinner than she remembered, the sharp edges of his billionaire polish worn down to something more real. There were shadows under his eyes, but also something lighter in his expression, like a weight had been lifted. "You volunteer here," she said, not a question. "Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 to midnight." Alex wiped his hands on what remained of his shirt. "I should go clean up. I just wanted to make sure you were okay." "Wait." Grace grabbed his arm before he could leave. "Why? Why are you really doing all this? The volunteering, the everything. Nana Jean tells me things, the coding classes. The scholarship fund. Moving out of your penthouse." Alex looked at her, and Grace saw the truth in his eyes before he spoke. "Because you told me you did not know if you could be part of my world. So I am building a new world, one where we could both belong." "That is not how this works," Grace whispered, but her grip on his arm did not loosen. "You cannot just change your entire life for me." "I am not changing it for you," Alex corrected gently. "I am changing it for me." "Grace, these past 6 weeks have been the most fulfilling of my life. Teaching those kids, actually helping people instead of just writing checks, living in a place where my neighbors know my name. This is who I want to be. You just helped me see it." Grace felt tears threatening. "You are making this so hard." "Good, because walking away from you was the hardest thing I ever did." Alex reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle and asking permission. "I love you, Grace Mitchell. I loved you when I thought you would never find out who I was. I love you now that you know everything. And I will love you if you decide to walk away. But I am not giving up, not on us, not on the man you helped me become." "I am scared," Grace admitted, the words tumbling out. "I am scared that one day you will wake up and realize you miss your old life, that you will resent me for making you give it all up, that I will never be enough for someone like you." "You are everything," Alex said fiercely. "You are brave and brilliant and so strong it takes my breath away. You work 3 jobs to chase your dreams. You take care of your grandmother with devotion I have never seen. You dance terribly and drink coffee that is basically sugar with caffeine, and you made me laugh for the first time in years. How could you possibly think you are not enough?" "Because you are Alexander Brennan," Grace's voice broke. "You are on magazine covers. You have more money than I will earn in 10 lifetimes. Your ex-girlfriend is a supermodel." "Is a gold digger who never knew the real me," Alex interrupted. "Grace, I spent 10 years building a fortune, and I was miserable. I have spent 6 weeks building a life, and I have never been happier. Money does not make me who I am. You do. Loving you does." Grace was crying now, really crying, and she did not care who saw. "I missed you so much. Every day I told myself I was better off without you. Every day I was lying." "Then stop lying." Alex pulled her close, and Grace let him, burying her face in his chest despite the blood and the sweat and the hospital parking lot audience. "Give us another chance, a real one this time. No lies, no games. Just you and me, figuring it out together." "What if it does not work?" Grace mumbled against his chest. "Then at least we tried." Alex tilted her chin up so she had to meet his eyes. "But Grace, I think it will work. I think we could be extraordinary together, if you are brave enough to find out." Grace looked at him, really looked at him, at the man who had taught himself to play dominoes to impress her family, who had spent 6 weeks earning back her trust without asking for anything in return, who had literally torn the shirt off his back to help a stranger because that was the kind of man he wanted to be. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay? Okay, let us try again." Grace managed a watery smile. "But Alex, or Alexander, or whoever you are, just Alex," he said firmly. "Always just Alex with you." "Okay, just Alex." Grace laughed through her tears. "If we do this, we do it right. No more secrets, no more lies, and you do not get to solve all my problems with your money. I am still paying my own way through nursing school. I am still taking care of Nana Jean. I am still me. I would not have it any other way," Alex promised. But maybe I can carry your textbooks sometimes and buy you coffee with obscene amounts of sugar. I can live with that." Alex kissed her then in the parking lot of Jackson Memorial Hospital, both of them covered in someone else's blood, with a crowd of strangers applauding around them. It was not romantic by traditional standards. No sunset, no music, no perfectly orchestrated moment. It was real, messy and imperfect, and absolutely perfect. "By the way," Grace said, when they finally broke apart, "Nana Jean is going to be insufferable about this. She has been Team Alex since week 2. She is a wise woman." "She is a meddling woman," Grace corrected, but she was smiling. "Come on, let us go get cleaned up. And then you are buying me the biggest, sweetest, most ridiculous coffee in Miami. Deal, but only if you come to Sunday dinner at my new place first. I want to prove I can cook something other than reservations." Grace raised an eyebrow. "You can cook?" "I have been taking lessons from Tia Carmen." Alex grinned at her expression. "What?" "I had to fill my time somehow while waiting for you." "You are ridiculous." "I am in love." "Same thing," Grace said. But she was laughing now, really laughing, and Alex thought he had never heard a more beautiful sound. 3 months later, Alex stood in the community center in Little Havana, watching Grace help one of his coding students debug their program. She came here every Sunday after visiting Nana Jean, claiming she just wanted to see what Alex did all week. But really, she was teaching the kids about healthcare careers, about dreaming bigger than their circumstances, about working hard for what they wanted. She was brilliant at it. "You know," Marcus said, appearing beside Alex with 2 cafecitos, "I never thought I would see the day when Alexander Brennan would be happy in a community center, teaching kids to code." "Shows what you know," Alex replied, accepting the coffee. "This is exactly where I am supposed to be." "And Grace?" Alex watched her throw her head back, laughing at something one of the teenagers said, her scrubs exchanged for jeans and a t-shirt, her hair in that messy ponytail he loved. "She is exactly who I am supposed to be with." "You going to marry her?" "Eventually." Alex pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, letting Marcus see the ring inside, a simple diamond on a silver band, nothing ostentatious, but beautiful in its understated elegance. "When she finishes nursing school, when she is ready, when she can see that this us is not about money or status or anything except 2 people who are better together than apart. You are going to make me cry, man. You are already crying." Marcus wiped his eyes. "Shut up. I am allergic to happiness." Across the room, Grace looked up and caught Alex staring. She rolled her eyes in mock exasperation, but blew him a kiss that made his heart skip the way it always did around her. Some love stories start with a lie. But the best ones, the real ones, are built on truth. And truth, Alex had learned, was worth waiting for. As the Miami sun set over Little Havana, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex Brennan, former billionaire recluse, current community volunteer and forever Grace Mitchell's partner, realized something profound. He had spent his whole life investing in the future, but the best investment he had ever made was in the present, in showing up, in being real, in loving someone so completely that everything else faded into background noise. "Hey, coffee addict," Grace called across the room. "You going to help us or just stand there looking pretty?" "I am coming, terrible dancer," Alex called back. And surrounded by the sounds of laughter and learning, of a community coming together, of a love that had survived lies and found truth on the other side, Alex did exactly that. He showed up, just like he promised, just like he always would. The end. 1 year later, at a small ceremony at Domino Park in Little Havana, surrounded by family and friends, Alexander "Alex" Brennan married Grace Mitchell. Nana Jean officiated, because of course she did. Miguel made a toast that made everyone cry and laugh in equal measure. Tia Carmen made enough food to feed the entire neighborhood. And they did. There were no magazine covers, no society reporters, no designer dress. Grace wore a simple white sundress from a boutique in Coral Gables. Alex wore a guayabera that Tio Roberto had insisted he needed if he was going to be a proper Cuban son-in-law. They danced badly to salsa music under string lights as the sun set over Miami. They fed each other cake and smashed frosting on each other's noses like children. They laughed until they cried and cried until they laughed. And when Alex looked at his wife, his partner, his Grace, He knew that he had finally found the thing no amount of money could buy: a life worth living. A love worth fighting for, a future worth building together, one terrible dance step at a time. The end.